I am Seth Fineberg, here once again for Ace Cloud Hosting. We are, of course, coming up to the end of the year. So hopefully those of you who are tax pros or have a tax centric firm, you're starting to think about how prepared you're going to be for this upcoming season. Specifically, there's a lot to consider from the regulatory side to the tech side, everything in the middle. So, in talking to accountants throughout the year, as I have, and even coming off some recent conferences, this is a topic that does come up. I do a fair amount of social listening as well, and so I'm going to kind of just give you what I'm hearing as some of the top three things to consider before tax season really begins for you all. So, number one, and again, this is in no particular order. I've just ordered these things. But number one is review your tech stack. I cannot stress that enough. There's probably some things that maybe you started to look at the end of this past tax season. Maybe over the summer, you were sort of looking at things that maybe could be better connected or improved. But really, talk to the vendors that you already have. See what really could be improved, what really could be, just kind of help things for your own organization, for your own production. Um, Also, anything that you're maybe looking to demo, that's probably a good idea too. Something that you might have been putting off, like, hey, they just kind of maybe released this, over the summer. I've heard people talking about it, or maybe even this past fall. Um, Take in that time, schedule in that time before tax season begins, and then finally, find like maybe one piece that might be missing in your overall tech stack. Something again that you might have been looking to get around to. I'm not saying you need to completely reevaluate everything, but just look at what you have, where you are, really see if things are working the way that you need them to, and start considering maybe some upgrades or some changes there. Number two, review your client list. Now, I know every year you probably go through this. You have, hopefully, maybe even assigned in your mind or maybe even somewhere else, a sort of a letter grade to your clients. Everyone wants to work with the A's and B's, but you probably have some C's and D's in there. Folks who are maybe taking the most of your time or, causing kind of the most, you know, stress for you and your staff. Really just kind of, cut that cord, as they say, or if you, in maybe a more pleasant term, figure out who you can transition on, who is not really fitting your vision, who's not really fitting in with your plan. They fight you too much on fees, or they take up too much of your staff's time, you or your staff's time. Whoever you need to assess and really transition on, now is the time to do that. Maybe also on the other side, maybe start looking for some clients who in your client list that might be ready for some level of advisory work, that you might feel like they might be ready to take kind of the next step in their business or in their financial lives, something that you can maybe schedule some time in, or even some basic tax planning. Now is the time to do that. Third, and in some ways most important, is security. Cannot go into another tax season without feeling like you are on top of things. So first and foremost, and this has been written about and discussed, but if you do not have a WISP, a written information security plan, get one. Have someone put it together. Get some advice from some of your colleagues who might have already done so, but definitely get that in order. Particularly, again, if you're preparing tax or doing tax work, that's something you really 100% need to have if you don't already, and evaluate what's in there if you do. Also look into maybe some managed services. You don't have to do security all yourself. It's just not something that you want to ultimately be responsible for. So hopefully a lot of you are already, in the cloud, but looking into some of the managed services that might be available to you to to take on some of the risk or risk management. Whether you have some desktop products or you're fully in the cloud, data security cannot be taken lightly. And also just making sure all of your systems, everything is kind of up to date. Now is the time for those, even on your hardware, on some of your devices, is everything up to date with your systems? Hopefully that it is. Those are kind of my top three that I'm thinking of that everyone needs to, consider, really the top three things to evaluate and to take care of before tax season begins. Thank you.